So, Black and Blue dropped, and I want to go see it. And I'm going to give you my quick review of the movie and my thoughts on it. I've been wanting to talk about this topic for a minute, and I guess this movie just gave, an excuse to actually address it and what it really looks like, what that really means. Talk about the movie, some of the interviews I watched from the directors and the cast of the show, give you my likes and dislikes and whatnot, my overall view. Alrighty then, so let's get it popping. My quick overview of Black and Blue. Was it realistic? Alright, so my thoughts on the film. Out of 10, I give it a 5. It was an average film. It wasn't the best. I think this movie was more about a statement. It was content creators using their power to illustrate a narrative. I think that it was overrated. I was talking about like the concept of the show because I do want to talk about this with some friends, and I've seen situations in real life that have made me believe that I thought that the movie, what it portrayed, was unrealistic, right? What I mean by that is that, for once, I was talking to a female who was in law enforcement, not a cop, but, in the realm of things, and her first thing, she got, fluffed in the movie like she was being extra. What that made me, she was basically saying she should have gave her the camera, right, to end the situation. I think that there's this weird thing that folks don't understand, right? Like, I watched the interview on the Breakfast Club, and they were talking to the directors and the cast, whatever, and they were all like, Charlamagne, Mr. Super Woke and pro-black, kitty black, and, I'm going to say F the white man, this and that, but he's been fired 4 times. And that's the difference that's what we don't really talk about, right? A lot of folks want people to be rebellious and go against the grain and go against the system. Now, I'm saying if you watch a murder, absolutely you gonna snitch, right? I mean, that's the right thing to do. But I'm saying when it's not always that, right? It's not always the overreaction. Sometimes it's little things here and there, and most people don't snitch. They don't say nothing, right? And one thing that was said in the Breakfast Club interview was, well, there's a difference between whistleblowing and snitching. No, it's not. In the government, they call their snitches whistleblowers, right? So this is what's weird, right? So it's Black or Blue, and one of the hot lines in the song is in the movie, which could be a song, was you're not black anymore, you're blue. And it's that psychological mind F that you have to deal with as a black person working for the government in America, right? You know the system and how the game is. No matter if you're a prosecutor, you see what Kamala half black Harris is going with, being the prosecutor, saying I'm doing my job and this and that, and it's going to have an effect on you, period, right? If you're a black cop, even though the logical thing would be, well, let's get more black people on the police force, the fact that like 90% of the police in this country are not black, and they over police our environments and our neighborhoods and whatnot, and they're who we have to call when Pookie and Ray were kicking our door. Like, no other community would allow that. They would, in another country, they would make sure that they have representation of themselves in that space, right? That's just what you would do. But instead, we treat them and we disrespect them, and we, kind of attack them for having a job, really, let's be honest. But there's some validity in that. If you watch the last episode of the last season of Snowfall, that dynamic was there, right? You have this black cop who wants to get crack out of his community, and he sees what Ricky Ross is doing and how it's hurting not only his community but his own daughter fell victim to the crack epidemic. But at the same time, he's doing that within a very racist and unethical LAPD, right? So it's a fine line, man. It is a psychological mindfuck, and I think that's just an illustration of what it's like to be a black man in America, period. Especially like black soldiers, they went to war, fought, got treated like trash while they were over there, got more respect from our foreign allies than they did from their own country, right? Then they come home, and some of these brothers, they couldn't get GI Bills. Some of them got hung in their uniforms. They said, "Oh, we taught you how to shoot and all this stuff, but we want to take your guns away." Like, there's definitely a double consciousness. I think every black man in America has to operate and live here and be sane, because it's crazy, right? Now that same thing can exist in law enforcement as well, and I just don't think that most folks is going to do what the young lady did in the movie, but largely because, and that's a point, is that she didn't have anybody. Like, if she had a family, if she had something going on, that's usually what changes a person's mind. Her partner in the film, who was also somebody who just turned his head and looked the other way, he had a family, right? And he looked at his family like, I'm looking at my family, and that's why I'm not going to say nothing, because I don't want to lose my job. And then that other element of it, right? So this is the thing. People keep saying, well, if you see something, say something, right? You see something, snitch, and you need to report. But they ignore the ramifications that come with that, right? They ignore, and you see this on cop shows all the time, when intelligence does something that the cops don't like, or when the detectives do something to piss off the cops, then the cops retaliate by not responding to backup calls. Like, I don't know if that's just a movie thing, if that really happens, but I'm assuming, being that human nature is flawed and people can be petty as shit. But you see that all the time in films, when you do go to IA, or you do say, not collaborate with the partner's testimony or whatever, there's ramifications for doing that, right? Not just job loss, but I'm saying they're not going to protect you, right? And I'm saying it's the same thing that happens when you're a CO, right? I know certain people who work at certain prisons in New York that there's a bunch of good old redneck white boys working in them, and they could be racist as hell, but if a riot breaks out, because of that code, because of that, I don't know what you would call COs, because they're not blue. I mean, I don't know what they call theirs, but you gotta risk your life to save that person despite not liking them. Y'all might do shit to each other and be petty all outside that prison door, but when you're inside that prison door, none of that matters, and this person is responsible for your life, and you are responsible for theirs. So I'm saying that part of the conversation isn't taken into consideration. That's why I think it's unrealistic for the movie. Like, I think the movie was an average movie. My bone to pick with her was that she is a British actress. She's not ADOS. And every time she kind of got loud and had to scream or whatever, like, she kind of was like, it kind of was cringeworthy for me, because it's just like she was losing her accent in those moments. I didn't like that at all. Every time she had to be like real aggressive and loud, it's like you could tell it's hard to do that part of a yell and a scream. It's one thing to talk in a different accent for a movie, but then when you have to be aggressive and yell and scream, like, it just came to weird. That's just me personally. It bothered me with that when she was doing that every couple times in the movie. Kind of reminds me, like, when, I don't know if Idris Elba's got his teeth fixed in that shitty movie he did with Beyonce and the crazy white chick, where, like, he couldn't talk. Like, he already had a British accent trying to talk American, and then I think he had his teeth fixed to where he sounded horrible through the whole movie, and I just couldn't understand it. But that was one of my one of my bones to pick, and my pettiness is, not going with an ADOSer, which we see a lot often. Since Samuel Jackson made that point, you got black Brits trying to portray these roles in these conversations, and again, it's like, I agree with Samuel. Well, of course, there's deeper debate behind that, and I get it, because there were a lot of black men and women who went to the UK back in the 60s and 70s and even in the 50s, because America just wasn't messing with them and weren't letting them shine, and they weren't paying them the right way. So they did go overseas, and they were able to pop off over there because they had a different history, which kind of makes Samuel's point correct, though, is that they weren't more embracing of people, of black folks, than America was, right? But you got a lot of non-ADOS black Brits playing roles that I just think, like, man, a black America probably would have been better, and they would have captured that more. And I think that, I'm not saying that they don't have their own issues, but this is another one of those roles to me where I think it should have been the black America. Like, Virginia King is kicking ass in The Watchmen right now, and I could have saw her being in that role and being for her. And we've seen her play a cop before on TV too. Like, man, but I don't know. I guess I can't say I'm not really feeling her as an actress for this role, like for this movie. I'm not. But back to the major, what I took from the movie is that basically, you know, it was more of a social justice argument because, you know, what happened in the movie is not happening. Most people are not going to do that. I'll give you an example, right? There was a sister that had this happened in the city of Buffalo, right? A sister had a partner who was doing over aggressive, and now what she did it in the field, which again, it's not safe. It's against protocol because while you helping the assailant or the accused, she was basically getting her partner off of a criminal or whatever, or somebody he was frisking or something. He was being over aggressive, and in the field she checked him, which I wouldn't have done that. You do that outside of the field, like, yo, if you do that again, I'm writing you up, blah blah blah. You were over aggressive, yada yada yada. But apparently she pulled him off of him and jumped on him, which could end up putting both their lives at risk. So it's like, you don't do stuff like that in the field, right? But anyways, she did that shit, and it's been over 15 years now. This is a mom of 3 or 4, single black mother, obviously. And, you know, she's been suing, trying to get her job back, trying to get her benefits, trying to get, you know, paid. And I know the story went away, and then it kind of came back and went slightly viral, but it didn't pick up a lot of steam. But yeah, like, she did that, right? She was what happened in the movie. She lost her job, despite the fact that her partner got caught with a whole bunch of other cops on some dirty, shady deals. They all got indicted and arrested and kicked off the force for other things, for other violations, right? So you had a sister who risked her career to do the right thing in the field, and she was let go, and what happens, right? And I'm saying most black folks who get those jobs that starting off at $50,000 a year, and you can make 6 figures by the time you retire, and you can be done in 25 years. A lot of folks ain't thinking that. Now, a lot of people will say, well, it's not about the money. You got to think deeper than that. When you say stuff like that, I think you dismiss where black is, right? All over YouTube, black folks are calling other black people broke and dusty, and that's usually reverted to black men, right? Everybody, you're broke and dusty, you're broke and dusty. And I'm like, I don't think that's beneficial to the black community at all to make those statements, because it doesn't pinpoint to where we are and why we are where we are. And I'm saying, well, because we're broke and dusty, that's why you have what a lot of y'all call is so many sellouts and coons, because being down with the cause for the people does not pay. It's over simple as that. If you want people to be in check, if you want people to follow the rules and stay on code, you have to give them something in order to incentivize them to do that. The way other communities do that, right? We put the cart before the horse. We want to dictate and make demands and cancel you and this and that. And people be not economically dependent upon you, right? When I hear people say, black men shouldn't go to the military, black men shouldn't do that, I'm like, if you don't have a job that's going to pay for their benefits, let them retire in 25 years, and they can make 6 figures and be in the middle class, that's just being a cop. If you don't have an opportunity that's going to let them go get free education, get a decent mortgage with their VA bill, and if you don't have that opportunity to give them in return of them, you asking them to be super woke and not take this job, shut the fuck up. I say that all dudes, frankly, right? If you can't give an equal opportunity, shut up. Shut up. That's just what it boils down to. Black people don't understand the concept of incentives. Incentives matter. I need a t-shirt that put that on there. They do. Other groups incentivize following the rules and playing the game the way they want you to play it. Now, don't get it twisted. You see all the times white women, white people, they'll go against the grain and they'll get cut off from their family, or they'll, lose inheritances and stuff. Not saying that people won't still pick the other side, but I'm saying we have nothing to offer but Twitter fingers. All you're going to get called is a coon and a sellout and Uncle Tom, and that's it. Nothing else. And you'll be able to go live your life in bliss. So I don't think that the movie is realistic. I think it's fantasy as hell. Again, I'm not saying that what she did was wrong as far as, trying to turn the tape in. I'm saying that most people aren't going to do that. I think most people are going to just get a tape back and mind their business. Most people are going to, I'm going in this building with my CI, stay put. I would have called for. First of all, before I went in the building, I would have called radio backup. Like, yo, I just heard 2 gunshots. Partner said he was going to see a CI. That's what he told me. It's not her partner. She was just riding with him. That's the plausible deniability. Yo, I'm calling for backup. I'm not going to this building by myself, not knowing what happened. I'm gonna give it a couple minutes before I go in. Then I'm gonna go in when backup arrives, right? But she didn't do that. She went in trying to be Captain Save Him and investigating the situation where he told her not to go in the car. The fact that he took a phone call and went and not a call on the radio, that was clearly indicating to you that we about to do some stuff that's not right, right? So, I don't know, that's just the way I look at it, right? If you're doing some stuff like that, most people would have just stayed in the car and they would never went in there. Or they wouldn't have went in there without calling for backup. When you hear gunshots, you're supposed to radio in. Yo, my partner went into this building to meet a CI. Boom. I heard 2 gunshots. She just walks in there and goes, look. Right? But, yeah, I think that the movie was decent. I wish these directors get more opportunities to do some films. You won't get this type of film from Hollywood or whatever. I remember there was a movie, and I might have to look it up, where it was like it was an older movie, like in the early 90s, but it was a black cop who had a situation where he didn't snitch, he covered up, but yet the whole movie was like, and then things got, out of order because his lie didn't match up with what happened. And what ends up happening is he ended up losing his job because he was covering up for his racist ass white partners, right, or the department. He ended up losing his job because when information came out and he said what he said, so he couldn't recant that, he couldn't perjure himself in court, so he ended up losing his job. And then the person who actually did the wrong thing ended up going free, right? I think that's how it went. I got to go back and rewatch the movie to see if that's how it really went. But I know he ended up losing his job over it because he lied. And I'm saying, as a kid, it printed to me as like, don't lie, right? Let it be known in front of your partner. Like, if you do some dumb shit, like I'm talking about some dumb, like negligent shit is one thing, but you over aggressive and doing some dumb shit, you gotta let that be known up front. Like, yo, I'm not about to lose my career for you. I'm not about to lose my ability to provide for my family for you. And that's one thing too in the movie that made it different than a lot of these other movies where the person doesn't snitch or doesn't turn in what happened, is that she didn't have a family. She was by herself. And usually if she wasn't by herself, that would have been used against her, right? You see the movies where, oh, you want to snitch? Like in Bright, right? Will Smith first phone call, yo, babe, get our kid to get out of town. Fortunately, they didn't go with the storyline of they grabbed her before she left. She did it. That, to me, that was the coolest part of the movie too. When Will called her, it's like, yo, get your hose, get your clothes, get the baby, go. Get to your mom's house. And, okay, daddy. That's what she did, and she bounced. No argument, no talk back. She just did that shit and left. And she survived. They didn't go with that storyline of it's too late. You watch other movies where that's about to happen and the wife is like delayed and not getting ready, and then when she finally goes to go do it, the people are there to kidnap them and use the kid and his wife for leverage to get whatever they want from the guy that's turning them in. But I think that also has an impact, right? When you have nothing to lose, you'll do that more often. But the person now, again, if you have that person be there with the family, because that was the contrast. Her partner had a family, and that's why he would just turn his head and look the other way. Right? But, yeah, that's my quick thoughts, my quick overview of the movie. I think it was, 5 out of 10. It wasn't great, wasn't bad. I wasn't disappointed in watching it. I think there were some scenes that were over the top where, like, the one black cop that was like, you not black no more, you blue, he got shot by one of the dirty cops, dirty narco dudes. But it happened, like, right in front of SWAT. Like, SWAT was, like, up the stairs. He shot him in the back, and they didn't turn around. They didn't look. Like, that was mad corny and weird to me that happened. Like, there was just some weird stuff that happened in the movie that I just me paying attention, I guess. But I didn't understand that part of the movie where dude ends up killing a man, and then no one turned around and looked and said, "Officer down," and none of that. Like, that just was retarded to me. And then again, her losing her accent, her screeching, kind of, or whatever she was doing every time she had to get aggressive and loud. That shit was annoying to me. I think that a better fit role would have been a person who actually speaks English as their first language and they're American. A DOS person, female cop, would have been probably a better role. I think so. People will try to compare it and say it's like the director said on a Breakfast Club interview, this is a training day / Sicario. There was no Sicario. There was no Sicario. And the only training day you got was she got thrown in the tub and was about to get killed. That's it. Stop comparing stuff to Training Day, right? Training Day was what it was, and it was that. Wasn't a bad movie. I would watch it again when it came on TV, yes. Would I buy it? Probably not. No. If it was discounted, maybe, possibly. But I don't know. That's just my quick thoughts. Black and Blue. What are your thoughts? Do you think that was realistic? Would you, if you were in that position as a cop, would you have went out of your way to try to upload the footage, or would you have given it to them and went about your way? Would you have even gone in the building when you heard the gunshots, when you knew that it was kind of shady, when your partner says, yo, I got a phone call, I got a call, and then y'all ride the whole time, he's not telling you nothing about what you're about to do, then he tells your ass to stay in the car, and then you hear gunshots, you get out the car. Would you have gotten out? I mean, she got out the car for a different reason, because she saw somebody trying to steal a car in front of her, but like I said, would you have even gone in the building? Would you have gotten in the car? Like, what are your thoughts? I'm tired. I'm out.